You're listening to KXSC 1560 AM or online at kxsc.org.
And welcome back to the Faceoff. Now, this is the part of the show where we will take some calls later on, but let's right now discuss what I'd like to call the penalties, in which I highlight really just unimpressive and downright awful things that have happened around the league. So let's start out with the 2-minute minor. The 2-minute minor, it goes to the Dallas Stars this week. Before the season, head coach Glenn Gulletson pledged to decrease the amount of penalties that the Dallas Stars took as the season progressed, since it was one of the things that was hindering their progress for the entire season, and eventually they just missed the playoffs. Some of the players that they traded were Steve Ott and Mike Ribeiro, who took 156 penalty minutes and 113 penalty minutes, respectively. Even with the large turnover in players, they had massive trade. They had trades at the trade deadline, not the trade deadline. I'm sorry, the NHL draft. They traded players during the offseason, and they signed a lot of players during free agency. The Stars are still the second most penalized team in the National Hockey League. They have been shorthanded 29 times already. Perhaps an encouraging sign, though, is that they've killed off 24 of those penalties, but they've been victimized by massive parades to the penalty box that has in turn changed the momentum in quite a few of their games, since they spend so much time in the penalty box, since they spend so much time in their own zone, and they fail to generate pressure on their other goaltender because they're on the back of their heels their entire time. Now, the 5-minute major, the more severe penalty, goes to Lubomir Visnovsky. Visnovsky was traded to the New York Islanders from the Anaheim Ducks in the offseason before the NHL lockout took out half the season. But Visnovsky, let's just say, has not been too impressed with the trade. He refused to show up to the Islanders camp, and he went abroad during the lockout with a KHL. And even then, right after the NHL lockout ended on January 6th, there were still problems. He did not want to show up to camp, and the Islanders suspended him for failing to report to the team. So he is putting himself before the Islanders, and he won't. His agent, according to his agent, he's not going to show up to Islanders camp until February 11th, which is almost a month into the season, not having somebody that they traded a lot to get. And that right there is just going to cause a major rift between him and the coaches just by posturing all this. Now, the third and final penalty is a game misconduct going to San Jose Sharks forward Ryan Clough, who, fittingly enough, got a game misconduct for all of his behavior in the Vancouver Canucks San Jose Sharks game that happened last Sunday. Ryan Clough single-handedly set the San Jose Sharks record for most penalty minutes accumulated in a single game with 35. Now, this includes an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at the beginning of the game before the game even started, a fighting major, holding the stick minor, a tripping penalty, a high sticking minor, and along with that last high-sticking minor, another unsportsmanlike conduct penalty while into the penalty box when he was screaming at the refs, punching the penalty box doors, and just throwing a hissy fit in the penalty box. So the refs, in turn, gave him a 10-minute misconduct, a game misconduct, and the aforementioned unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. So he was out of the game in the second period because he could not keep his composure.